Hi, and welcome to Ask Toby. This is our first episode of Ask Toby. So thank you very much. A couple of questions came in this week, and I thought I'd pick one that I thought was really interesting and kind of where I think a lot of leaders are as we go through this global pandemic. And the question came in from, I won't say her full name, Melissa. Melissa works in a large consumer goods company and operates as a manager. And she asked the question, if we're going through a global reset, how do you set goals and priorities that move you in the direction of the organizational mission? I thought that was a really good question. One of the things that happens when we're in chaos or VUCA, as we've talked about, is that we do lose sight because of all of the distractions of the direction that we're headed in, that we're attempting to move in as a team and as an organization. There are a lot of other things that we find we may have to deal with. There's a lot of emotional stress and anxiety that people are dealing with. And often even your team can feel psychologically unsafe. And we're seeing a lot of that. So one of the things that to pay attention to is how we set goals. A lot of times we set goals in organizations that are annual goals. You know, the goal is to get it done or to tell us when it's done. And once it's done, we've completed or we can check the thing off the box. But if you're really trying to move the organization in a direction that's happening when you don't really know where the future leads, then it's important to establish what I call preemptive goals or iterative goals. So for example, when you're managing your annual budget for the year, right? Any manager knows that you've got your annual goals, right? Or targets. And usually once a month, you report in on those targets. And once a quarter, you review those targets. And then you look at how you've performed against your targets and any variances that have happened. And then you explain those variances so that you can correct course as you move into the next quarter. Well, those are preemptive goals because what you're doing is saying, okay, here's my goal, and here's what I'm going to be doing for the next 3 months to get directly toward that goal. And if there's a reason that I'm either in front of that goal or behind that goal, here's my explanation based upon where we are. And here's what I'm going to do to correct that and make sure that I'm on course or get back on course for the next session. It's just as easy to do that with people with qualitative issues as it is with quantitative issues, okay? If your goal is to sell 10 new renewals for your top clients in one quarter versus if your goal is to make sure that you check in with 10 employees to make sure that they're feeling seen, heard, felt heard and connected, then those are the same kinds of preemptive goals, but you're just looking for qualitative feedback. The challenge is that we often don't report that when we're reporting the numbers. So what I suggest is that particularly in times like this, in times of a global reset, when we're actually reporting the numbers, the tangible, quote unquote, quantitative goals that we have for our department, that it's also important to report those goals that look at the impact. So I've got to hit this number by this date, and here's what we did, and here's what the impact of what we did on how we reached those numbers. That can be a very informal process that you can put in place as a leader that distinguishes you from other leaders in terms of how you lead. It can also become an organizational process that human resources folks can put in place to make sure that we stay focused not only on the desired result, but we are constantly asking ourselves, and what did we do to get to that result? And what was the impact on our internal stakeholders, our employees, our team, our staff, as well as our external stakeholders? Hope that helps, Melissa. All right, you guys, stay tuned for another Ask Toby next week. Send your questions to asktoby@safio.com. And in the meantime, have a great week. Bye-bye.